morning. We'd like to welcome you this morning to another edition of AM120. Of course, it's a Monday edition, and we'd like to welcome you specially. My name is Jadi Sola Ajibola.
Good morning. Good morning, Oyo State. Good morning, wherever you're joining us. Thank you for joining us on today's edition of AM120. You know how we do it. We take you through the dailies, after which we are back with our interview segments where our guests will be seated with us. I have with me the Nigerian Tribune this morning, and trending on the front page, IMF report on budget spending sparks debates as controversy trails claim of 8.8 trillion naira of budget spending. It is misleading, incorrect, no evidence provided, says the federal government. 8.8 trillion naira expenditure is not budgeted. Tinubu should resign, says Obi. Still on the front page, nomination list, NDC may run into crisis. Kwakwanso block, PRP, mall alignment. We are working towards amicable resolution, says the party spokesman. Nigerians to pay more green tax implementation begins at seaports. CBN targets 2.0 trillion naira treasury bills issuance in July amid tight liquidity push. Still on the Nigerian Tribune this morning, Osun 2026. Don't sell your PVCs. APC governorship candidate tells electorate. Ghost agency, how controversial. DJ lived in Oyo Palace, got disowned by late monarch. And that's on page 17 of the Nigerian Tribune. On the health segment, early menopause may raise lifetime heart disease risk by 40%, says study. High interest rates, credit crunch remains disincentive to private sector investment. Manufacturers grapple with 35% borrowing cost, 1.9 trillion naira credit squeeze. Man calls for implementation of 1 trillion naira manufacturing stabilization plan. Convert macroeconomic gains into inclusive growth. CPPE urged the federal government. And that's what we have on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune. Now taking stories inside. On page 3, federal government demands justice over killing of Nigerians in South Africa. Oyebanji visits freed kidnapped victims in hospital, engages psychologists for reintegration. The Nigerian Union of Teachers backs federal government's plan to scrap JSS SSS separation policy. Still on page 3, CBN targets 2.0 trillion treasury bills issuance in July amid tight liquidity push. On page 4, we have IMF claims of off-budget spending sparks debates. It is misleading, incorrect, no evidence provided, says the federal government. Moving on from that, more stories on the Nigerian Tribune. On page 6, Army restores hope in communities as COAS commissions renovated schools, other projects in Rivers State. Polio-free world made possible by Rotary, says Tinubu. Serap seeks transparency on 1.3 billion naira allocation in 2026 Appropriation Act. Still on page 6, Oshiomhole Natasha orders to receive honors at 2026 National Legislative Awards. Looking for more stories to take on the Nigerian Tribune this morning. On business, African leaders must unite for reparation of offshore funds to boost development. This is coming from Elombi. On page 13, high interest rates, credit crunch remain disincentive to private sector investment. Nigeria, 8 other countries account for 83% of global gas flaring, report shows. Moving on to page 14, firm launches AI-powered media marketplace to boost U.S.-Africa trade transparency. We have on page 15, Nigeria's return to global index hits fresh order. Still on page 15, Lagos pilots clean cook stove projects to unlock carbon markets. That's on page 15 of the Nigerian Tribune. Still on page 15, expert seeks more details on World Bank's view Nigeria partnership framework. On page 16, we'll give Tinubu 95% vote in Ondo, says APC woman. Ibadan Southeast market leaders hail Representative Oseni over 10 million naira empowerment. Don't sell your PVC or Yebanji charges or Osun voters. On page 17, APC members rally support for Tinubu, Danladi and others. Ondo APC reps candidates Ajilo 6 aggrieved party members corporation. 2027 politicians spending quality time discussing mundane issues, says Professor Kila. Our controversial DG lived in Oyo Palace. Alafia Deyemi disowned him, banned him from using title of prince. Several phony agencies waiting to be uncovered in federal government's books. Moving on from that, we have on page 18, Ekiti poll PDP candidates begins legal political review of outcome. Oyo APC appoints Lanlei Adedoja Afolabi Oke others as members of Reconciliation Committee. Ejesham North Monarch backs Reps bid. We'll now go on a short break, and when we come back, we'll continue from page 18 of the Nigerian Tribune. Don't go anywhere.
Supramalt Multivitamin Junior. Supramalt Multivitamin Junior. Being mommy simplified.
And the best student in basic digital literacy is Jadin Okoro. Very good. And the best student in kinesthetics is Jamil Lawal. The best student in robotics is Tiara Kolawole.
That's my girl! Hey! That's my girl!
This award goes to the most punctual student of the entire school. And the winner is Lisa Solomon.
Something is telling me that she makes her daughter skip breakfast just to be here. You people could have just asked. I would have been happy to tell you my secret.
Enjoy instant goodness with John Vent's 3-in-1 chocolate. The quickest start to your morning.
Welcome back. It's still AM120 on BCOS television. We're going through the Nigerian Tribune. On page 18, Turaki-led PDP demands forensic investigation into presidency. PFTC controversy calls for suspension of top officials, reorganization of State House. On page 19, gunmen kill 3 vigilantes in Plateau State. Police arrest 3 suspects for car theft in Ibadan. Still on page 19, NDLEA arrests a Nigerian-British woman with 13-kilogram cocaine sealed in plantain pills. Still on page 19, robbers kill technician in Ondo. Police arrest suspects. Police arrest suspects 22-year-old. Police arrest 22-year-old suspect in Delta for staging self-kidnap. Now moving on to the sports segment of the Nigerian Tribune. AFCON hosting, CAF invites members association to submit bids. University of Ibadan launches Sports Academy, unveils official tracksuit. Oyo archery team seeks support ahead of African Championship in Algeria. And on the final page of the Nigerian Tribune, Wimbledon Open reaches quarter-finals. And that is all we have on the Nigerian Tribune this morning.
Thank you very much, Florence. Of course, we're taking some more stories from other dailies. We'll be taking you through the Punch newspaper, Vanguard, Guardian, and the Nation newspaper this morning. All right, let's begin from the Punch newspaper. The major story there says Saturday deadline puts parties under pressure, 2027 candidates. And with so many riders, Parties rush to submit presidential National Assembly nominees ahead of INEC Saturday deadline. APC uploads Kwara, Yobe, Imo governors and Senate nomination forms. PDP submits nomination form for over 200 candidates. And of course, we come to other pages. Page 2, Senate meets Tuesday as fake agency budget roll deepens. All right, on page 45, you have FG secures $11.4 billion World Bank loan in 3 years. Of course, ICPC recovers 5.8 billion naira cash in 6 months. That story is on page 8. All right, on page 3, killings. FG1 South Africa threatens tough action. That story is also there. All right, we'll go to other stories. We have on page 45, Dangote beats US, ships 757 billion naira jet fuel to Europe. That's according to report. Roberts kill Ondo technician, defending family. Chief of Army Staff, citizens, key to winning security war. That story is also on the front page of the Punch newspaper. All right, we'll go to the Vanguard newspaper where you have the story, the major story there says, PFIPC controversy, House SGF's office declared DME for Canada summit. All right, that story is on page 5, troubling pattern of scandal now too frequent. Atiku presidency can't escape accountability over Gbajabia Miller's claim that's coming from the PDP. We'll go on this break. We'll take some commercial breaks. And when we come back, we'll give you more stories. Stay with us.
When malaria knocks you down, you can be sure parasites are having a party in your system.
Welcome to our new kingdom, guys.
Comel, an effective weapon against malaria. Attacking the parasite army directly to give you express relief and get you back on your feet effectively. Comel on. Malaria gone.
All right, welcome back. We have more stories from the Vanguard newspaper. U.S. to closely monitor 2027 polls. That's according to Congressman Riley Moore. All right, you have xenophobia. FG condemns killing of 2 Nigerians, demand justice. NDLEA intercept Malaysia-bound cocaine nabs. PhD student mastermind. 2027 polls. Party rush to meet INEC's uploading deadline. That story is also there on the Guardian newspaper. The major story there says, U.S. IPO drive test Nigeria fintech governance compliance strength. The story is on page 6. U.S. pledge close scrutiny of 2027 polls amid CPC designation. All right, you also have there other story. Oil majors spill 125,000 barrel pollute Niger Delta. All right, you have lawmaker calls for camp as fresh terror attack claim 3 persons. All right, we'll go to other stories on the front page of the Nation. Xenophobia, Nigeria task hard stands against South Africa. All right, you also have federal government, no 8 trillion naira extra budgetary spending. That story is there on page 19. Orire victims rescue process on course, says Chief of Army Staff. And you also have the FX daily turnover, near $1 billion in push for stronger Naira. Lanley Akala's wife, Akinoke, in Oyo APC truce panel. All right, those are stories that made the headline this morning. We'll go on a break, and when we come back, we'll be serving you with weather reports, and then we'll cross over to our interview segment. Stay with us. Don't go away. Still AM120. is still AM120 on the Broadcasting Corporation of Oyo State. This morning, we're looking at what we call 3 years after subsidy removal, economic reform or pain. That's what we have this morning. And of course, according to report, 3 years after the removal of fuel subsidies in Nigeria, the policy has successfully boosted government revenues but triggered a severe cost of living crisis. Petrol prices have surged over 600% from about 175 naira per liter to between 1,300 and 1,500 per liter, driving up food, transport, and general living expenses. While the policy stopped a massive financial drain that previously cost trillions of naira, ordinary citizens are yet to see significant trickle-down relief from the reallocation of funds. For localized, real-time updates and community discussions on how this has impacted daily life and business, those are of course, the figures and the latest on the subsidy removal funds. Of course, to do justice to the conversation this morning, our guest is a scholar, a professor, former president of the Nigeria Economic Society, Professor Adeolu Adenikinju. You're welcome to the program this morning.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
Good to have you. All right, let's begin the conversation. Let's even talk about the subsidy removal first. Before this federal government came into power, we had the cost of fuel from about 200, let me put it at 200, and suddenly we got to 1,300. In some parts of the country, they have bought fuel for 1,700, 2,000 at some point. Mm-hmm. Yes, we have not had scarcity of fuel as the case used to be. So let's look at it. What has subsidy done for us in Nigeria as a nation? What has subsidy done?
Okay, thank you very much, and thank you for having me this morning. If we flash back to the years of subsidy, it's very clear that it was a very difficult period, Like Riley said, it was a period characterized by, queues, shortages. It was a time of huge fiscal drain on Nigerian government. There was a time Nigeria was spending on subsidy an amount that is even higher than what government spends on education, spent on health, spent on many other, many infrastructure. And then also because we're losing so much money from subsidy, government had to borrow. So government fiscal deficit rose sharply, and we know that has implications on exchange rates. Where smuggling was very rife. A lot of people were just smuggling to neighboring countries. So because fuel was cheaper, subsidized in Nigeria, and then you had these other markets in neighboring West African countries, Cameroon, Niger, Chad, Benin. So we're just subsidizing the citizens of those other countries. And then more importantly was that our refineries were destroyed. The downstream petroleum sector infrastructure, destroyed. It used to be, in this country that we don't move, products by, trucks or vehicles from the south to the north. Okay, those days there were depots. You just simply pump from the refineries into the depots. It goes to different depots across the country, and then you simply need the trucks to move from the depot to the nearby cities. But subsidy destroyed all of that because there was no money to finance those infrastructure. Refineries, dried up, and we became, a country that had the highest, exporting oil exporting, crude oil exporting capacity in Africa, and also the highest importer of refined products, which was a paradox. So, because we couldn't refine them, and then at a point in time, 33% of our foreign exchange was spent on importing, refined products. So those were years of, very difficult fiscal challenges. In fact, embarrassment to Nigeria because, you have crude oil and you can't process the crude oil. That was what subsidy did. So subsidy was malignant. It was a very serious challenge on the Nigerian fiscal system. petroleum, downstream infrastructural sector. And so subsidy had to go. The interesting thing was that since 1994, I've been working in this area, and they had always, campaigned that subsidy must be removed because the negative impact of subsidies far outweigh, the benefits that Nigerians were getting. And the last thing I want to also say that is that, when you subsidize the poor. In fuel, we're subsidizing the rich, so it was a perverted subsidy that we had. Because we are the people having 7, 5, 6, vehicles. They were the rich. The poor people in the village don't even have vehicles, and yet we are subsidizing those who can afford it. So it was a wrong subsidy. So it's a wrong application of, subsidy. So the free subsidy had to go, and it went. And I think yes, the outcome now could be debated, whether this is where we should be. But in terms of whether it should go, as an economist, I think it ought to go.
Okay, and the same way a lot of people said it should go because of the cabals who were benefiting from this. But again, let's look at it. Yes, we have removed subsidy. Are those cabals still not in the system?
No, they faded. If you look at
they faded away.
we don't.
Into other sector.
Where I don't know where they.
Doing other things. Why was it difficult for government to bring these cabals to book? Why was it difficult?
You see, the issue is this: where you interfere with the working of the markets, you create all kinds of, and you will be distracted. You are chasing cabal here. You have many issues in governance to do instead of chasing cabal.
The fact that government just allowed it to go.
No, you see, what you have done is what is supplying those cabals. You remove it. So they faded away. You don't need to spend any energy looking for any cabals, because whatever they were feeding on, which was this huge premium, okay, that you can bring price, bring products. Even at times, they don't even bring any products. You can sell this product and collect a lot of subsidy from government. Was a whole lot of money free money that people were making. So once you stop that, you don't even need to start running after any cabal. They disappeared because what was feeding them disappeared. So and that's how you expect a market system to work. We practice a market system in Nigeria. And the market system is where you allow the market to determine the outcome. So when you go to Bodija market to buy your rice, to buy your, you just go there. The market allocates those things efficiently. So why is market allocating what we think are more essential? Food is done by the market, and we think that fuel cannot be done by the market.
Beyond the cabals, what other economic realities were we going through then that made you feel like subsidies should go?
Yeah, like I said, we're losing so much money, okay? At a point in time, subsidy was about 5, 6, 7 trillion naira per month, per annum. When you have a budget of 12 trillion, and subsidy alone was 7 trillion. That was huge. So you are losing so much money, and therefore to cover that gap, you have to go and borrow. And Nigeria was borrowing heavily. Government at some point, in some states, could not even pay salaries. They couldn't pay their contractors because there was no money. Subsidy had drained all of those money. Okay? The refineries went dead because, again, you don't start a business with the hope of making losses. Okay? You produce a product at 10 naira, you say you should be selling at 5 naira. That business will collapse. So the refineries collapsed. And then spending hard foreign exchange on what is important, we're spending it to import fuel that we can produce in Nigeria.
You mentioned...
Yeah. No, it's okay.
You mentioned 7 trillion naira monthly, and we were borrowing at a very high rate then. But we are still borrowing now.
Yes.
And it's as if statistics are showing that we are borrowing more now than we used to borrow.
Yes, but if you look at the size of the business of government, it has expanded. Okay? Now, you could be borrowing, somebody who is earning 100 naira and borrowing. Okay? And somebody who is earning 1 billion naira and borrowing. The level of their capacities are different. At the time, there was a time, I was talking about a few years back. What's the size of our budget? We're doing a budget of 12 trillion, 30 trillion per annum. Now we are doing a budget of 50-something trillion. So it means that what government is able to do, the capacity of government had actually increased. Okay? And those days we were talking about, oh, salaries have not been paid because some governments, state governments are owing 6-7 months salary. I don't think there's any state government in Nigeria that is owing that level of salaries again. Because their revenue had boosted, had gone up significantly.
So
You
now
know.
let's look at it. This subsidy of a thing and the money accrued from subsidy.
Yeah.
We all know that this money has been pushed to states and local government. But trust me, apart from salary, I'm not sure we're seeing anything. It's not reflecting in the daily living of the people. You have said it that subsidy was wrongly paid because we were paying subsidy for people who could afford it. Now we have removed the subsidy. So how are the people who should benefit from the dividend of democracy, how are they having impact, feeling the impact? Because trust me, you can't even buy pepper in the markets. If you get to the market, you ask to buy pepper, they will count like maybe 6 or so for 500 naira. And before this time, that 5 or 6 will not even exist in the market. You're buying so much for like 100 naira, you could still find that of 50 naira.
To still make a spot of soup for 2,000 naira.
No, you can even do 1.5.
1.5. For now.
For some people,
Yeah.
they could buy fish.
Yeah.
They could buy fish for 500, buy pepper, buy other condiments, and you would eat.
Yeah.
So unfortunately today, even if you have 10,000,
Yeah.
10,000 cannot even buy anything.
Yeah. No, inflation has
If you
gone.
if you go to the market with 1 million naira, you can be sure of coming back with a polythene nylon bag.
Yeah.
So where is the benefit of removal of subsidy? We can't
Right.
see it. We can't feel it.
Right. Okay. You know, there are 2 levels of question. One question is, should we remove subsidy? That's one level of question. Second level of question, did we do the right, the implementation?
No,
No, I'm saying, no, there are 2, I'm just, your analysis, I'm just separating them to 2.
Okay.
One is whether to remove subsidy is good or not. Okay? Another one is, how was the implementation? Okay? Now, so we have to be, a little bit more careful in terms of the analysis. Yeah, if we all agree that subsidy had to go, the second question was the timing, the sequencing, and the implementation. How was it done? Okay, was it appropriately done? Now, you will know that, part of what is driving issues of inflation and affordability is not just that energy prices of fuel subsidy was removed. It's also because we also deregulated the exchange rate. Okay, these are 2 major reform policies that the government did. Okay, at the point in time, the exchange rate was, lower than 700 naira to $1. And then when it was removed, at the time, it even went almost to 2,000 naira. So you had that also going there. We also had inflation that was coming for the fact that you had imported inflation. We had all of these challenges in the Gulf region where there's a war that also led to the spike. So there are a number of things driving inflation. You also have the issues of the bandits that are making it difficult for goods to move around. So a whole lot of things are packed into why prices are difficult. Okay, it's not just because they remove fuel subsidy. It's because we had a lot of challenges, okay? So you must be able to decompose that and say, okay, what proportion of this is actually due to, the removal of fuel subsidy? Now, the truth of the matter, you said, okay, look, yes, government revenues have gone up, state governments. Now, they are not owing contractors. They are not, largely, they are not owing workers. They are not owing pensioners. There was a time that pensioners had to go and queue in secretariats for months. Now they can earn. And that percolates the economy of those economies. Because when workers are paid, they are able to buy from those who are selling. And the economy
I have
boosted.
a challenge with this analysis.
Okay, yes.
You said workers are not owed salary.
Yes.
Yes. Pensioners are not being owed.
Yes.
True. Contractors are getting their funds.
Yes.
True.
Yes.
But these monies they're getting,
Yes.
it's not a living wage.
Yeah.
It's not putting food on the table. It's not getting them to their workplace.
Yeah.
So it's the end that we are right now is not justifying the means.
Yes, and I'm saying that fuel is not the only reason why you have that challenge. If today, if fuel prices go down and bandits are not allowing food to be for farmers to go to farm, then you have challenge.
Security issues.
So you have security issues, challenges that are there. You have issues around infrastructure. The roads are extremely very bad. And like I said, we just finished a war that Donald Trump spiked with before the war. the prices of fuel was coming down. It was coming down. Okay. In the
war.
Yeah, before the war. In fact, there was a time it was almost coming to 700 naira.
Prof, the war
yes.
Agreed.
Yes.
How soon should we expect a change in the economic situation?
Now, again, there will be lag effect. Okay, because those thousands of ships that couldn't even move through the Strait of Hormuz are moving now. They want to go to, and they take months to go there to get to their destination. They have to be refined. You have to bring them. So there are a whole lot of things that I have to take. When you disrupt the markets, like has been done, all this, logistics and things like that, it takes a long time to do. But even when all those things, and if you look at what is happening now, and that is how the market works. It was, a few weeks ago, it was 1,200 naira per liter. Now, in most stations, as I was coming now, I just look at, it's about 1,100. Okay? Yes.
So
1,150 or thereabouts. Now, if things go on, again, it continues to go down. That's how the markets work. But like I said, there are other factors that will continue. And there are a lot of things government could also do. Okay? When you remove subsidy, there are complementary policies and programs that have to accompany that. We are not the first country to remove subsidy. Other countries have done that. Some, governments, could have accompanied that with a whole lot of other measures that will mitigate these effects that we're seeing. Okay, mass transportation system, mass transit system. Okay, now they try to launch the CNG, but again, it seems like half-hearted. Okay, they are not pushing a whole lot of energy into it to get people to move it, because gas is about 60% cheaper than petrol.
But even those that are on CNG, commercial transporters, are making life miserable for the low-class people.
Because they don't reduce their price regardless.
Yes, and they're the ones that were saying should benefit from all of these programs. Now, to my mind, what you're saying is that government is doing, their own part. But unfortunately, whatever part government is doing is not reflecting. Because at the end of the day, there is no regulation. And that should come from government. If you are buying CNG, if fuel is 1,700, for instance, or let's even stay with 1,150, and CNG is 600, for instance. Now, and the cost of transportation still goes as much as maybe from Gates to Bashon, where we are, and you're still taking it for 500. It's on the high side.
Yeah.
Let's not even talk about the fact that people don't feel like it's safe enough in this country. Many people don't trust it yet.
Yeah. The adoption rate is still very low. A lot of people have not moved, either because of the cost of the conversion, whether the infrastructure where the place is, a lot of people don't even know. That's why I said they have not done a lot in terms of convincing people, in terms of enlightenment, in terms of, even the rollout of the program. So that almost everywhere you see it and you talk about it in media and things like that. And government vehicle, for instance, you change all of them to CNG and things like that. And then you give incentive to people to change. Okay, that should be done, And then you can collaborate with the road workers union, okay, in terms of, more vehicles, okay, and also this issue around prices. So again, I think that I also afford that it's not government. Okay.
How accessible is the filling station, or where to fill up their gas? How accessible is it?
Again, that's why I said that this have not been done well. So the implementation, this is a good program, but the implementation has not been done well, because you don't have that overwhelming supply of that infrastructure. So that limits their ability. And a lot of people also, like you said, are afraid. So a lot of education has not been, enough sufficient education has not been done. Enlightenment has not been done. Okay. That should be even getting government, let government take the lead. All the government vehicles should move to CNG. Okay, for instance.
We need to go on this commercial break. Yeah. When we come back, we'll look at the safety of CNG. We'll look at the economic effect. We'll even look at the cooking gas price it rose to and where we are today. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
And the best student in basic digital literacy is Jaden.
Very good.
And the best student in kinesthetics is Jamil Lawal. The best student in robotics is Tiara Kolawole.
That's my guy! Hey! Oh, Jamil back there. That's my guy!
This award goes to the most punctual student of the entire school. And the winner is Lisa Solomon.
Something is telling me that she makes her daughter skip breakfast just to be here. You people could have just asked. I would have been happy to tell you my secret.
Enjoy instant goodness with John Vence 3-in-1 chocolate. The quickest start to your morning.
All right, welcome back. It's still AM120 on the Broadcasting Corporation of Oyo State. And of course, we still have in the studio with us the former president of Nigeria Economic Society, Professor Adeola Adenikinju. We've been looking at the 3 years after subsidy removal, the economic reform, the pains and gain. So before we went on that break, we were talking about CNG, and we also talked about the issue of cooking gas. Even the cost of cooking gas is on the rise, and is worrisome. Despite us having refineries working, producing optimally in the country, we still have this challenge. Why?
Again, if you look at example of cooking gas, more, a high proportion of what you consume locally is imported. Okay, we import. Because the major company that produces LPG, as we call it, is NLNG. And energy is structured to exports, so they prefer to export. Even when they produce, they export. Okay. Now, government has forced them to sell some percentage in Nigeria, but that is not enough. Okay. So we still import a lot of this. And what then happened was that the Iran-US-Israeli war, impacted on supply logistics. So we couldn't get it. And so anytime supply is affected, the prices will go up. So hopefully with all of this, the peace in the Middle East, hopefully it endures. And then, allow the logistics, period, the lag period to, eventually you have those prices. And the prices are coming down now. Because the price now, if you go down, it's close to 1,000, 1,100 from the high level it was per kg. So it's coming down. So those are temporary supply-induced costs, okay? But again, government can, and you see what market does, and I think we need to understand the market, is that market, when you see prices rise, it also triggers supply response, okay? So a lot of refineries are going to come up. A lot of suppliers, of LPG, a lot of them will come up. So those who are producing, oil, crude oil now, are thinking about installing, some plants that could be producing, LPG and supply to the local market. So in a bit of time, some few years down the line, when a lot of these, projects come on stream, we'll see that supply, the whole place will be saturated. Because that's what market does. Market responds to signals. So people are saying that, hey, this gas that I was flaring before, now I can convert it to money. So many of the oil fields now are thinking about having modular refineries, having small refineries where they can produce more fuel, more, petrol, LPG that they can sell to the domestic market. So those things will come up. That's the market. That's the power of the market.
Now let's speak at the economic reform that we've had.
Yeah.
Has it profited Nigerians? And when I say Nigerians, I'm talking about
the average
we
Nigerian.
that are average Nigerians. Yeah. Do we really have average Nigerians anymore?
I'm an average Nigerian.
Okay, so does it profit Nigerians
Below average?
All of us are on the same level.
We are not
we are on the same level.
So let's look at it. Does it profit, or why are people still in pains? Because the pain itself is worrisome.
As an economist, and a few years back, I actually told people that, look, any government that came to power must have to take some very, very difficult economic decisions. Because we were running our economy, pre-2023. There are a lot of, what we call distortions in the system. And those distortions were just ruining our economy. Okay? I mean, international credit rating agencies delegated us. You know, we borrow at a high premium. We couldn't finance our budgets. You know, there are a lot of challenges. Debts are being owed. There's so much pulling that we had. Okay? And you have, you know, this multiple exchange that if you are connected, you can go and get, you know, some allocation from the central bank. You just go to the black market, you make huge money. You can't run an economy on that basis. Now they are trying to, I think the government is trying to reposition the economy so that we have an economy that can be based on fundamentals. That, you know, it is transparent in terms of what is driving the economy. Now, like the price of fuel, we see what is driving it. When this one goes up, it will go. When this comes down, you can predict how it works. That's how the market should work. So we had challenges, you know, with our economy before. Now, with the reforms, when you do reforms, it's like you do surgery. There will be pains. Reforms will come with pains, okay? Because we have lived a life that does not reflect our reality, okay? Now you have to cut your coat, so that will come with pains. But like I said, when you do reform, there are things government should do, which I think the government, in my view, is not doing satisfactorily well.
Things like what?
Things like what? One is what you have said. When you are going to remove subsidy, you have to have a plan on how do you target, how do you take care of the poor, okay? You have to, you know, they are trying to do that now, but the coverage, in my view, is limited. It's not transparent. Okay, you know that in countries like in Iran, China, when they were there, they had a register of the poor people, so you can know that these are poor people. How much are they going to lose? You send checks to them. They send money directly to them to be able to mitigate those effects. Okay, you have to see how do you boost public mass transit system. You know, public transportation is one of the areas that will be, because a lot of people move through that, goods move through that, and those have implications on food prices eventually. So you must be able to plan ahead, okay? And how working with road transportation, you know, the transporters to get a lot of vehicles, you know, find a way of ensuring that, you know, that kind of supply, that kind of price, you know, high prices from transportation will not occur. So you have to plan mass transit system. 3, you also have to ensure that, you know, part of the problem we have now is that energy, you know, electricity is still very poor, and people use a lot of fuel to also drive electricity. So it's a double jeopardy. So how do you then? So again, they are not saying that this is how much you have gotten from this. You must target it. In my view, instead of just mainstreaming that money to the general budget, okay, where we don't know where that benefit has gone, and people can spend it in building airport, you know, some state government build flyovers that don't have direct impact on the people. Okay, so if you say, okay, look, hey, you have an agreement with the state government. This money that you have saved, we'll use it ABC. What will touch the lives of people directly? Okay, that will provide a lot of more benefit, in my view, than what has been done. Okay, and again, there's a lot of, which I've said severally, the government communication is extremely very poor. You know, there are many things that government is doing, but a lot of people don't even know what they are doing because they are not even telling anybody what they are doing, why they are doing. So when you do reforms, you must be able to let people know why you are doing those reforms and let them know, you know, what are the various, you know, challenges that be on the way and what you are doing to mitigate those challenges. We don't have those kind of communication.
All right, thank you very much, Professor. We'll go on a break and, you know, take a commercial, then we'll be right back. Stay with us.
And the best student in basic digital literacy is Jadin. Very good. And the best student in kinesthetics is Jamil Lawal. The best student in robotics is Tiara Kolawole.
That's my girl! That's my girl!
This award goes to the most punctual student of the entire school. And the winner is Lisa Solomon.
Something is telling me that she makes her daughter skip breakfast just to be here. You people could have just asked. I would have been happy to tell you my secret.
Enjoy instant goodness with John Vent's 3-in-1 chocolate. The quickest start to your morning.
Welcome back. It's still AM120 on BCOS television, and we're in conversation with Professor Adiola Adeni Kiju. Yes, former president, Nigeria Economic Society, University of Ibadan. And before we left, we were talking about the reforms and the government's communication. So is this a communication issue or a problem in the governance, like their policy? Is it the policy that we're having issue with, or is just the communication? Because we don't know what is going on, that's why we are feeling like it's not exactly working, or there's a problem somewhere.
You see, all of them have to work together. The policies and communications, they need to work together. See, when you visit a doctor, and a doctor is administering a drugs on you, it's like to tell you, oh, it tells you, it guides you as to, hey, these are what will happen. After 3 days, you will have some relief. If you notice this, come back. You should do they guide you through the process. So when you see some, and they also tell you some of the, side effects. Oh, when you are taking this, you are likely to feel this way. So when you feel it, you don't feel bothered because you have been told. So they guide you through a process until recovery, okay? And if I challenge you to go back and you have that communication, that communication is very important. So if I'm going through a very tough economic system reform, and you tell me that, hey, these are the roadmaps, this is what will happen, but this is what we are doing, okay? For instance, now, part of what government introduced was these student loans in the universities. And for a long time, a lot of people are very afraid to even take it. Some people are not even aware. And some people are taking it and using it.
Even if we are aware, can we actually get it?
A lot of people are getting it. Many people at the universities get it. A lot of people I told in my church, people are not coming back, thank you. Because again, they didn't know or they were afraid. Now, this was part of the reliefs that, okay, look, if we provide, student loans or some support, bursting as it were, it will relieve parents, okay, who are paying higher price on fuel and other food products now. So you have that. Someone also told me about that they were trying to support pregnant women, those who went through CS in Edo State. And by the time they go to the, they do that every year. But now they said government had paid. Anybody who is doing CS in public university, government had paid. They are not telling anybody that they are doing that. So there are something that they are doing, which is important as part of the relief. Okay? If pregnant women are doing CS, government says they have paid. And a lot of people don't even know they have done that. They will go to private sector instead to go to public sector, public hospitals where those policies are there. So communication is very important. So in the outset, they are doing so much, but nobody is talking. They don't have chief economic advisor. Nobody is talking about how the economy is progressing. They don't. Okay, they just say, okay, by faith, take whatever is going on. Nobody is telling us, okay, this CNGT, yes, and they have a presidential committee, but we don't have that regular updates. How many stations are coming? Where are those stations coming up? What are the things they are doing? And things that you have to motivate people and let them know. So there's big communication gap that I see there. But their policies also had issues because, again, like I said, we know theory tells us and practical experiences have shown that when you introduce subsidy, prices will go up. There will be cost of living challenges. Poor people will be badly affected. So those things ahead. So you must find a way by which you are going to mitigate those effects.
So do you feel like they were insensitive, or they played it down like it was not going to be that serious, and they did not care about the well-being of the citizens?
I wouldn't say that. The president meant well. When I say first price subsidy is gone, he meant well. But was that planned on how to implement it? You have a team that has done these studies before. Before the late President, what was his name now?
Musa Yar'Adua.
Yar'Adua died. He set up a committee, and I was a technical advisor to that committee on how to remove subsidy effectively. And we're doing that. We're doing works on what to do in order to remove that subsidy. Okay? That was a planned thing. So that must be what you have done. You have done. So
But you don't agree
that, in my
it
view,
not-
was not
you
really
agree
there.
with me that it was not this current government that prepared to remove subsidy. We're going to come there. But let's pay some bills. Let's go on a commercial break. And when we come back, of course, we'll look at that. Stay with us.
Cadbury 3-in-1 hot chocolate, the treat you deserve.
All right, welcome back. It's still AM120, and our guest is still here, Professor Adiola Ade Nikinju, who is the president, former president, Nigeria Economic Society, and is also from the Department of Economics at the Premier University of Ibadan. And of course, he's been doing justice to the conversation 3 years after subsidy removal, economic reform or pain. Now, before we went on that break, we're talking about, so this was not, it was not this government who removed subsidy.
All planted.
Subsidy had been removed during the Buhari-led government before this government took over. Buhari had been making that announcement, and it seemed like to all of us, we didn't hear those announcements until he came up on board, and the first day he said it, it was like he was the one that created the problem. However, so you were talking about Yar'Adua-led government planning to remove subsidy, and they were drawing up the framework. Now we're saying this government did not have any framework. They didn't even study the budget. They only came up to say they were removing subsidy and that subsidy was gone, and that's it. Now, two things. One, at the point this government was coming on in May, subsidy had been removed from the budget from June for implementation. Now, was it possible for this government to have returned subsidy at that time, despite the fact that it had been legislated upon, you would recall? And then the government of Buhari, may so rest in peace, who actually worked on this removal? The question is, sir, what was the framework on the table for removal? Because Bola Tinubu government said, look, as we come in, we are going to remove subsidy. We're going to continue on what has been done. So it means that the government that left power did not do anything. They were only announcing. There was no paperwork.
And also, you mentioned you were the executive advisor for the Yar'Adua plan to remove the subsidy then. Am I correct?
I said I was a technical advisor to the committee. That was a presidential committee, yes.
So, help us to understand what would have happened then if, they put it in place then that is different from how it is happening now.
Okay. Well, a number of things that, your statements. Yar'Adua, we were told that it was not in the budget, okay? As of June. So you still have more. Like I said, I supported it. So there's no, I don't have any challenge that something should be removed. And I also supported that it should be removed very early the way the president did it, so that there's no pressure to stop him, okay? So I believe in all of that. I'm simply saying that it's something that you must be prepared. Because we know, there's no doubt that the effects, how it will impact on the system. We know, as an economist, an energy economist, I know how this will work. So it's simply to say that if it's going to work this way, what should we be doing? Okay, remember when it was first removed and labor went on strike. So you have thought about, okay, how much compensation are you going to give to labor? Okay, the government also at that time announced that, okay, they were going to give some to poor people, some cash payments. I think I forgot how much cash transfer of some amount, and everybody was saying, hey, it was too small, and the government withdrew and said they were not doing it again. They were back and forth, which was an outcome of that you have not done your preparations well. If you have done your preparations well, and you come to announce that you have removed, this is what we are doing, okay? This, that amount that government said they were going to give to the poor at that time, they were not giving it to the middle class. So those who are shouting at what 28,000 or I forgot how much money it was at that time, the cash transfer they wanted to do, it wasn't for them, it was for the poor people, okay? And that amount of money may be small to the middle class, to people like you, but to the poor people, it was a good amount of money. There are people in UI today now, those cleaners, if you give them 1,000, they will prostrate and thank you. Okay? So you have to, and people say, no, don't give transfer. What you should do is you should do road, you should do agriculture. Those are medium term. People who have died. Okay? So the cash transfer is an immediate injection that you must give to those people who are at the brink. So when you do subsidy, and then so you have to graduate the kind of interventions you do. That's what we call the short term, the immediate term, the short term, the medium term, the long term of what you need to do to ensure that you mitigate those effects.
Let's quickly look at what the president promised to give at that time. Upon taking office, President Bola Tinubu launched the renewed Hope Conditional Cash Transfer CCT scheme, and the core initiative provided eligible poor and vulnerable household with a monthly grant of 25,000 for 3 months, totaling 75,000 per household at that time.
Yeah.
So I'm only giving you this figure. So 25,000.
Yes.
And trust me, an average poor family in Nigeria cannot have less than 5 people or 6 in a family. An average. That's the lowest you can have. 4 children to a father and mother. Trust me, you can even have 11. Father and mother and 9 children. I've seen one, or I've seen several. So what will 25,000 do? And Prof, you're saying that in the immediate, it will save life. We're not even looking at the health insurance. If this money was put into health insurance for people, to say, okay, look, let's put 75,000 for you per annum, and you're a poor person, and you have this opportunity to visit the hospital no matter the ailment per year. Is this not better than giving them free money that does not have any value?
So if I don't get sick and I can't go to the market to buy gari,
trust me, if
so what will happen?
A lot of people don't eat good food. And
So the thing is, when you give people money, they have the privilege or the right to determine how they want to spend my money. My needs are different from yours. You can't legislate what should be my own priorities. So what money does is that it gives you independence. Okay? Instead of saying, okay, I'll give you a bag of rice, I've given everybody a bag of rice.
Because not independent.
That's because it's not meant for you.
I was at the supermarket.
There are people out there who don't earn 25,000.
Prof, I was at the market on Saturday.
Yes.
I bought pepper.
Yes.
I actually withdrew 10,000.
Yes.
And I bought pepper.
Yes.
That money bought me pepper.
Yes.
I couldn't buy meat.
Yes.
I couldn't buy fish.
Yes.
I only bought pepper and condiments with 10,000.
Yes.
Now, so you are saying that if you are giving me 25,000, or not me, poor people 25,000, and they buy for like say 3 days meal, and that 25,000 cannot carry them for 3 days. I bought very tiny pieces of pieces of yam.
My wife goes to the market. Look, let me tell you.
We didn't know it.
How much do politicians give to people to buy to get their votes? How much do they to kill?
That's also a very wrong.
No. I'm not saying that. No. You see, again, you are not a call. You see, the way things work is not the way you guys. You people are middle class. You don't understand what people.
I'm not middle class, sir.
You are not the one that would determine. I'm telling you. As you know,
but you
where
say
you
you're
are.
middle class. We cannot be on the same level. So at this point, you cannot also tell me where you are.
We could have high middle class, upper middle class, lower middle class.
That's not nice.
It is possible. But to be honest with you, 25,000 naira per month. I'm not saying it's adequate, but I'm saying to some people, it's a difference between life and death. You see, like you said, let's do. Give it to health insurance and things like that.
It's temporary solutions.
So these are, you are saying that people are the brain. People cannot eat. I'm saying there are people in UI. There are people, not just in UI. You give them 1,000 gifts and they will kneel down and pay. There are people who are hanging up. They can't buy drugs.
Thank you, sir.
No, you will not. You just look at this.
That's an assumption.
Look at this professor. Okay, what can I do? You even throw it away. Even as Yoruba person, as a Yoruba person, you can say, okay, well, but in your heart, you say, look at this. Do you think I'm poor? No, I know you now. I know what you will say.
He knows
you know.
Prof has never met me.
You know. Yes. I know people like you. I know you will look at you as a Yoruba person and say, okay, Prof, thank you. But your mind, You say, look at you think I'm
Not is
hungry.
1,000.
No, you know that a lot of people see on the road well dressed.
Yes.
Actually don't have what to eat.
Yes.
And we assume that they have money. And when you give them that 1,000 you're talking about.
Yes, if you give that person 25,000, is it not better off than when you give him zero?
But it's temporary solution. It's just like the loan.
That's
so
what you are
temporary
saying.
solution.
What you are doing is this. You are cascading.
We are
When prices go up, and every price go up, some people cannot feed. They can't even take out that. They can't buy their drugs. They need immediate intervention. It's like when you want to do surgery. When you want to do surgery, now what they do, they give something to you immediately to provide some support for you to survive it. Because if you go in without that kind of a future, that kind of you may so there are people who are the brinks. Those are the people that that kind of money meant for. And I think it was a great disservice for government at that time to have withdrawn that. Because all the people that started planning. A lot of people. I was at Kunlara the other time. I went to buy my medicines. And I saw people, crowd of people, and I said, hey, they are not selling medicine, they are not selling food here. But look at the heads of people who are sick, who are looking, who want to buy drugs. And some of them will come to you. They don't even have the money. What they have come to buy is not even up to 10,000. Some may lose their lives because of that. So you need to take care of those people. Then there are short-term things, there are medium-term you need to do. We need to get rural roads. You know, some of this go, that's why I said, you must link up the rural areas where agricultural production takes place and where 40% of Nigerians live. You must link up them with the marketing center. Okay? You must provide energy, modern access to modern energy for them. Okay? And other things like healthcare, whatever it is that you need to do. So there are a whole number of things that has to be done to support, you know, the vulnerable people. Now, the rich people, the middle class, yes, will be affected, but those guys can find a way, to get out of it. And I mean, if we also intervene in energy and we are able to boost up, I mean, how much of electricity are we generating in this country today that gets to people? Now, if we can boost that, if Nigeria can have 24 hours of electricity supply, do you know how massive the impact that will be on Nigerians' productivity and livelihoods? You know, so there are a whole lot of things that, in my view, should be done. And again, a lot of us look at Tinubu's government, Tinubu, the federal government. What is happening at the state level? We don't interrogate the state governors and the state government intensively the way we look at the federal government. The state governments are making so much money now. Some of them are using it well, but some others are spending those money on what you can call white elephant projects. Okay, I mean, I was told of a state, I don't want to mention the name, where they have the government built one of the finest airports, but no planes land there.
His plane will probably land.
Maybe his plane when he wants to come home. You know, so what he builds high flyovers all over the place. When people don't use, they even use that to say to spread, their cassava and things like that. Those are white elephant projects that are not impact on the lives of people. Okay, so infrastructure is very important. Social health, education, roads. These are things that will facilitate business enterprise.
Okay, a quick one, Prof. How can we alleviate poverty at this point? Nigeria is one of the countries that are going through starvation. Now the statistics are not even showing poverty. It's now showing starvation. And you know that starvation is next to poverty. So if you are poor, it can still be understandable. But when you start starving, it becomes another level that what's calling for attention. So Nigeria is one of those countries in Africa, in the world, that is undergoing starvation. How can we come out of starvation?
You see, one of the indicators you will see that we have wrong maybe priorities, for lack of better word, is that when you go to rural areas now, you buy food. In fact, they have a lot of, food crops that get spoiled because they produce in season. There are times that when they produce, the prices will just crash because there's a lot of supply coming into the market. Okay? And then after some time, they sell those things. People go from here. Marketers go to those rural areas, buy a lot of these commodities at very cheap prices. So the farmers are getting a fraction of their price. And because they cannot even store them, they are forced to sell them. Okay, so if you are going to, so food is agriculture is very important. Food is very important. Production is very important. Food production is very important. But what are the challenges you have there? Apart from the fact that the production process is very crude and the output productivity is very low, is that these people cannot save, cannot store their goods. Okay, so you spend so much time to produce cassava. Okay, and then when the time comes, you can't save, you can't store them, so people come and buy them very cheaply from you. Okay, so there's no storage. The roads to those rural areas are extremely very bad, so there's no way for them to get to the market. If you look at the statistics you are quoting, food losses is also very high. Okay, people that what they produce, the amount of losses that they gather. You see, food crops, some of these fruits, the tomato to mango and all of them, because they all come at a season, and because they can't sell and process them, a lot of them also get rotten. So we must address our storage system. We must address the road, the infrastructure to those rural areas that will allow them to be able to, and then marketing boards must come back. Okay, somebody must guarantee them that, look, if you produce this will buy it from you. They do that in America. You give them guaranteed price so that the average farmer is sure of the income that they will get. And therefore they can plan on the basis of that. Now you can plan. I have even people who are not who go into farming now, and they tell you that, hey, we produce and the prices are crashed. Gari price will just crash because and you have spent so much money and you are forced to sell them. Because there are no storage.
The government have a role to play in assisting.
That's why I said they have marketing, but they need to do the role. They need to find a way of supporting storage systems, where people can store. Because if you can process and store your goods, then you are not forced to sell them, cheaply, because you can store them. Okay, so you can look for what the right price is and sell at the right time. But now they are not storing, so people come to you. You can't store it, and then you are forced to sell even below your cost. So people are continually finding it difficult to survive. And then you layer on that, like we said, security challenges. That's part of why we have hunger. A lot of our food production comes from the north, from the middle belt area. That is the food basket of Nigeria. But a lot of the farmers are in the camps. What they call them? This, camps where they keep those who have been displaced. They can't even go to farm. So you have less hands on the farm, to farm. The few that farm, at times, people bring their animals to eat the crops, chase them out of the place. So we have fundamental problems. Insecurity is a major challenge. And like I said, this insecurity is coming at where your food basket is. A lot of those food we eat come from the north. But if they have been displaced, they can't go to farm. Then these are some of the consequences that we have here. And then you have climate change effect. You have a lot of these other effects that we have. So it's a really deep problem that the solutions will come from state governments, from federal, even from universities. Universities like ours, we have a role to play.
Research the way it used to be in those days.
That's part of what I'm saying. That they will call it chicken and egg because government the academy will say, hey, we don't have funding to do research or to translate our research into innovations. So they will say that, okay, and that is true. There's no money. There's no way you will go in Nigeria and say, oh, I have this bright idea. You send your proposal and you get funding. There's none. So that challenge is there. But the truth also is that we need to do a lot more in order to produce output that will impact on lives of people. So that our research is not just for promotion and things like that, So it's a both-way thing that we have to look at.
You mentioned earlier when you were speaking, you mentioned you support that the subsidy should be removed immediately. Mm-hmm. But you also said they needed to do adequate research and, check the budget. If it's being removed immediately, where is the time to actually do that research that is needed to, help cushion the effect of this subsidy that they anticipated the effects. Everybody anticipated it, or they anticipated it.
Yeah.
How, my question now is, how are they supposed to make that research if we're supporting that the subsidy is immediately, so that they don't change their mind?
Yeah, they're not mutually exclusive. You see, the whole thing is that before you, I mean, many of them now, those who are contesting, a lot of them have their think tanks. You have people who are, you bring together, your think tank. People are looking at your, who are, some of them are the ones that haven't come up with those policies for you, okay? They must come with implementation framework. They must also have done that. If you are doing, we want you to do this, these are the things you need to put in place. So your team will have done that before you announce it. That's what I'm saying. So you don't just, it's not something that will just come out of the blue, even when you know it is the right policy. And by the way, almost all those presidential candidates, leading presidential candidates, said they were going to remove subsidy. They are not just saying when they will remove it and how they will remove it. No, but that is opposition. Opposition will cascade, but all of them were committed because it was unsustainable. The subsidy was practically unsustainable. In fact, some of the people were very clear and said, take away the subsidy, we made so much money from Nigerians. Because they were just making money. I mean, I just been reading $10 book, making it big. There was so money that people were making in the downstream sector. Those people become billionaires within a short period of time.
Okay, as an economist, let's begin to look forward. As an economist,
yeah.
How do you think, or let me even ask, how much do you think can be a take-home, a living wage in this current scenario for government and states, federal, local government, to give to workers, pensioners, to help them earn a living and move from that position of starvation into...
Good question.
Poverty.
It's a very...
no.
Okay.
Starvation into poverty. Let's move out of starvation in the first place.
It's a good question. And, interestingly, a few months ago, I was going to a public engagement. And I did a quick study that, okay, look, in economy we have what they call compensatory, compensatory mechanism. That's the name we call it. Where, for instance, I was trying to engage that to get people to be at the same level of comfort, of utility before the removal of subsidy. Okay, and now that they have removed subsidy and done foreign exchange, what should be the level of price that will make you indifferent between the two situations? Okay, that will keep you at the same level. And it says 190, I calculate to about 182 to 190,000 naira. Okay, so if you want people to stay, the average Nigerian, like me and you, to stay at the same level of satisfaction in where we are in 2023 and where we are now, because we should be paid about 190,000 naira. That is the challenge for, somebody who was earning, was it 35,000 naira before? Okay? Instead of going to 70, the government adjusted it. That 35,000 or 30,000 should come to around 190 to remain at the same level. So it can be done.
So how much should government now regulate to ensure we sell well?
No,
at that same level, which be on 1,000 naira?
No, I've said you have changed the price of fuel. So price of fuel has changed. How much do I need to increase my salary so that I can still be able to purchase that same level of price?
Are you saying at that amount?
Yes.
You're saying about 200,000 per month?
About 100, yes.
Yes. So you're saying at that price?
Yes, you are indifferent.
Fuel can still be at
at this price, we'll still be able to be okay.
Would this work for a single person or like a family, a household?
I'm talking about anybody who's earning. You see, you determine the size
household,
of...
you have like number of people already.
That household was getting 30,000 naira before. Either individual of that is what. I'm saying that the person who was getting 30,000 naira minimum wage before, okay? Now, first subsidy has been removed, and exchange rate adjustment has been made. Prices have gone up. How much should that person who is earning 30,000 naira earn now so that it's not worse off? So you need to move from 30,000 to 190,000 naira.
But the same way 30,000 is moving to 190,000 naira.
Other
the family
prices,
has grown.
Yes.
There are other things involved. There are other things in play. The child that was probably paying 20,000 naira school fees is probably like already in primary 5 and is paying like 70.
That is what is the compensation? That's what you have lost. You have lost this amount of money because of subsidy. And we are compensating you so that you see, again, issue of around what is your family size. Individuals will have to decide that. This is one of the areas where we think people should have 3, 4, 5, 6 children. It should depend on what you can afford. These are realities that we don't want to speak about. But the reality is that, hey, your economic status must also determine what should be your family size. You can't begin to continue to have a lot of large family size if you can't. A lot of the arguments of large family size, those arguments have disappeared now. They're no longer relevant to like when we are our forefathers.
Let's quickly go and touch on insecurity.
Yeah.
It's another issue that is killing many families.
Yeah.
A family is there, one of their members is being kidnapped, and they ask to bring 15 million. And maybe they're lucky, they end up collecting 10 million.
Yeah.
Now, and whether you like it or not, those that are kidnapping are making money. It's another economy that has been created.
Yeah. No,
How can we wipe off this economy? Because you trust me, whether you like it or not, NIN has been linked with our numbers. Unfortunately, I don't know why it's still very difficult for government to track. I saw video of the children that were returned from kidnappers a few days ago in Ekiti. And they could barely stand on their feet.
Yeah.
It's either they had been raped, the girls, and raped badly. The boy, or maybe they've been starved for days, weeks, months, and that's where we find ourselves today.
Yeah.
And I'm afraid in the coming days, I don't know what will happen. How can we wipe out that economy?
No, it's not an economy. It's an ecosystem on its own now. I mean, it's a very vibrant economic system, that is supporting this kidnapping business, and they have all kinds of stakeholders, all kinds of people who are attached. Those who give them food, those who supply drugs, those who supply ammunition, there are a whole lot of, and those who are helping them to move the money around. They said the genie has been left out of the box. Putting it back is going to be extremely, extremely difficult. And people I will say that those in the square system are also even in cahort, with some of these people. There is a compromise. There's a lot of work between some of the intelligence people and agency and the law enforcement and the kidnappers. So it's a whole lot of what America was doing was very important, okay, which was basically to provide intelligence and to also help our military. We need to devote more money into this. Prosecution is very important. Again, you can't say people have committed crimes and you forgive them to go back into society. People should pay the price. So we should create the sentence for them. We should raise the penalty very high. That when you go for this thing, the cost will be very high. So you think twice, okay? Because we had, like people say, we had a lot of people, they were arrested, and that's the end you hear, or they release them back.
Best practice does not even allow for capital punishment.
Yeah,
that's where the challenge is. We've not been told whether all of these people that have been arrested and so-called integration are Nigerians. Because we are told that the people committing this crime are not Nigerians. So if they are not, I don't understand why they should be integrated into our system.
There are many Nigerians among them. It is because now we won't find out that if you don't, before it was just the Fulani business. Now we won't have local people now who are doing it. Because the returns are so huge. If you do a successful, kidnapping, you have to have 50 million, 70 million, 10, 20 million that they just get. So the returns have become extremely very high. And like I said, at times they have some collaborations, even from the law enforcement people.
Those that are collaborating, are they not supposed to face huge punishment?
That is it. So government must find a way. These very bad people who are in the system, who are part of this thing, you must find a way of dealing with them. Okay? So you must raise the stakes. And then we must also use technology.
Drones. You know, we have to find a way of preventing some of these things before. You see, in developed countries, not that people don't go do all of this criminal things, but if you do it, you know that the probability of you being caught is very high. So we must ensure that it's difficult for you to do this thing and get scot-free. And when you are caught, you are going to pay the price. So those sanctions, those disincentives, they are strong enough to dissuade people from doing them. And then lastly, you know, in all of this is that we must also make this economy to work. You know, unemployment is very high, poverty is very high, so there are incentives for people to also go into criminality. So one of the things government must do, and I think they are, you know, try their best, but again, hey, they need a lot more to do because they ask for this work, is that we must grow this economy significantly beyond. I mean, we're doing 4%. That can't do anything. If you are doing 4% and your population grows about over 3%, you are not doing anything. You are not going to do a lot to affect poverty, to affect unemployment. This economy must grow at a minimum of 8% or 10% continuously, so that you can bring out, you know, a lot of, you know, economic boost into this system, so that people can get jobs, people can get good, you know, incomes, and then there will be less. You know, I mean, they said that the devil finds work for idle hands. You know, so we can't isolate the economic situation from some of the criminality that we also have. So, in spite of all these other things that you want to do to deter them or to sanction them, you must also put in place things that will make it difficult, that will make it unattractive. You know, people get job, you can feed your family. Hey, why do you want to go and do more crimes and then go, you know, caught and killed?
Agreed.
So, yeah, no, that's always there. Those few people are always there. But there are people who are going there. I mean, I had somebody that was called, very young person. How much are they giving him? Very small amount, 5,000, 10,000. So that means that if this guy has something like 20,000 doing, he would not be doing what he's doing for 5,000.
But even when you see people and they say, come and take 20,000, 30,000 as salary, they say it's too small.
You know, yes, you have people that die that. But there are people who are willing to do it.
A lot of people are not ready to work. We keep saying there is no job.
Yeah.
But I tell you, it is not true. There are so many organizations looking for people to work.
Yeah.
And no matter what they keep saying they don't want to do, you see a lot of people walking the street begging to eat.
Again, like you said, you know, two things will drive that. Those who say they don't want to work, what are they doing to get income? Okay? There are some kinds of jobs that are available now. This driving Okada, you know. And hey, this Okada thing has done more harm than good in many places. So you need to find a way of getting people from this kind of jobs to high-paying jobs, you know, that will sustain them. So the guy who said, I don't want to take 20,000, possibly is saying, okay, what is the cost of transportation to the place? What is the cost of feeding? And by the time I ask that up, say, hey, this doesn't meet my reservation price. I'm better off staying at home than having to spend maybe 25,000 naira to go and earn 20,000 naira.
Staying at home.
No. I mean, you look at cost benefit now.
And you always find a way around it.
Yeah, cost benefit.
Being idle is even more expensive than being engaged.
If somebody is feeding you at home, you are somebody now, you are at home, okay? Your parents are feeding you, and they say, come and take a job for 10,000. To get to that place, 50,000 per month. Will you take it? You will not take it.
Why would you take it?
You find a way to.
Why would you not take it?
You are going to get 10,000 naira, and you're going to spend 50,000 naira to get there.
Yes.
So you are going to lose 5,000. You are going to even pay. So you
don't get experience.
Portfolio, you know.
It could be an opportunity for you to climb the ladder to another opportunity.
Yeah, I know. I mean,
so sitting at home is even worse.
Volunteering is okay. I support volunteering.
No.
I support some of this. But I'm saying that as a rational human being, every human being has what they call reservation price. If somebody is going to take you from this BCOS job today now, and it's going to pay you what I'm paying you or lower than, you won't go. But it's going to double your price, you will go. So there are reservation prices for everybody to move. Okay? So if what I'm offering you can't cover my cost of coming, people would rather stay at home. We have it all over the world. The world is what we call labor force. People decide to go to the labor market if they think that labor market will give them something that will make it what they are wired to go. Otherwise, they will not.
As we wind down gradually on the program, what message would you give to Nigerians, especially average people that are below average, on how to manage their? Because now it's about management. It's not about even if you have the money, you're not sure of tomorrow, so you're scared of spending the one you have. So advise Nigerians, despite the harsh economy, despite the high cost of living, what can we do?
Again, individuals have their roles to play, but government also has a lot of role to play. Government must do their roles. They must provide the support that will make people. People are already going through a very tough time, so government must find a way of providing that support for them. But then for individuals, like we already said, if there are job offers that are given to you, hey, take them. And just like abroad, there's not that people cannot work 2 or 3 jobs, okay? People will leave from one job to another job so that you can get something substantial to enable you to be able to meet your economic needs. And then cut away waste. Again, I know we look like a lot of social parties, social events here. People will still do Ashoibi, will still do a whole lot of this other thing in spite of the challenges that are there. Now, these are things that we need to cut off. Make sure that you spend your money on what is actually very, very important to you and to your family, And hey, like I said, I seek support. There are a lot of also government programs that are there. They're not advertising them, but find out information. If there are those ones that will benefit you, try to take advantage of them.
So on the final note now, looking at the next 3 years, we've been able to establish that it's very difficult and everything is hard right now. In the next 3 years, do you still have are you optimistic about this subsidy removal and everything?
Yes, I am. I think it's a fantastic policy. The economy is on the right track. If you look at as a economy now, you have economic stability. So the next thing now is for government to then move to the second phase, which is how do you ensure that you're able to address some of the welfare challenges, support sectors that will grow the economy, agriculture, industry, energy. Once we do that, it will be good.
Thank you very much.
Professor Adeola Adenikinju, former president of Nigeria Economic Society, and of course at the Department of Economics at the Premier University of Ibadan. We must say a big thank you to you.
Thank you very much,
producers, for coming to share from your wealth of knowledge with us and to advise us on how to move forward as average Nigerians, living our lives on a daily basis. Thank you very much. We'll go on a break, and when we come back, it's going to be Sport Update. Stay with us, don't go away.